I had the good fortune about, I don't know, 15, maybe 18 years later to spend 2 weeks of active duty for training on the USS America. And I learned a couple things. Number one, life on a carrier for an 04 is a whole lot better than it is for an E4. And number two, 2 weeks on a carrier beats it's not 2 years on a carrier. I guess the things that sticks in my mind is the first time we lost a pilot. Now we lost one flight deck crewman that got blown off the ship, but we lost some pilots, some very good pilots, through in many cases no fault of their own. We had an F3 on the port cat and the dog bone. This is a little thing that they put in there. It's a shear bolt, and when the cat fires, that breaks. And it's calibrated brake. They're inspected, and why this one broke, nobody knows. One of the cat crew told me it can't be the wrong one because they don't fit in the airplane. The right one is the only one that'll fit in there. So it must have been a defective part. And the guy went down the deck. It was a nasty day. It was rainy and semi-freezy. It was really just the kind of day that you really want to go flying. And he went down the flight deck and he went over the bow, and they never found him. So when that happens, all of a sudden it becomes real. It's not an adventure anymore. This is real. This is the real world. And you know, I was off the ship before the ship went to Vietnam. People asked me if I served in Vietnam. I said, thanks be to God, no. I got off active duty in April 1964. But we were there for the Cuban Missile Crisis. And when the Cuban Missile Crisis hit, we had just pulled into, I think, Naples. Am I correct, Steve? I think we just pulled into Naples. We had dropped the hook. We put the boats in the water. The 4th Division had the boats all manned. We were in the hangar deck in our dress canvas ready to go ashore. And the boatswain piped his call, and he said, now set the special sea and anchor detail. Make all preparations for getting underway. So he said, shouldn't he have said Liberty Call? About that time, the Master at Arms comes along, and he says, all right, sailors, you heard him, sea and anchor detail, we're going to sea. We're thinking, what the heck is going on? At that time, we still carried A3s. They took 3 of the heavies up on the flight deck, loaded them with special weapons, and they had crews sleeping in those airplanes. And we went out and did some high-speed runs, I think to try to shake the submarines, I don't know. And I asked my chief petty officer, the chiefs know everything. I said, Chief, we got 11 heavies. We've only got 3 on the roof, why is that? He said, well, lad, it's going to take us 15 minutes to get those 3 heavies off, and that's all the longer we're probably going to last. I went, oh, Chief. Here again, there's these moments when you realize that it's not a game. You're out there and you're doing a job on a very important ship, very big ship. And of course, anybody who served on any of these ships knows that the nickname of these things is bomb magnet. You know, nobody cares about sinking destroyers. They do take a beating. Destroyers get beaten, but they come after the carriers, and you never get used to that.
Any questions from the audience? We can start opening this up a little bit. If not, I'm going to keep going. We'll kick it back to Oscar. We'll just keep the round table going. Obviously, I think it's obvious, maybe not. This museum has been way more successful than we ever thought, could possibly imagine. If there's anything you'd like to see about this museum for us to consider or think about, or rudder midship, stay the course, and as well as for the audience, we're always open to feedback.
I think probably the most important thing here is that we maintain recognition of the Midway class, not as just a single carrier, and that the Midway class does, as Mac indicated earlier, Midway class becomes the home ship for all of us. It's regretful that the Franklin D. Roosevelt and the Coral Sea are no longer afloat. As you said, every time somebody lifts a razor with your face, you can think of that's a ship. That's your ship, possibly your ship that you're shaving with. Lastly, I just want to say one thing. In the process of putting together this reunion, we had 3 teams. Literally 3 teams came together. The teams we're just the team leaders. We had teams from each of the ships that answered the call, came together. We spent 18 months of conference calls, discussions. We've had Jim Hayter put together the contracts with the hotel, with the AFR, our reunion coordinators, everybody that's been involved, and there's been a slug of us. It's not just the three of us up here, and I have no illusions about taking the glory away from anybody that has worked on this, and from all of you for participating in the reunion here. It's hopefully we can keep this thing going, and you all will bring your friends and family back to the Midway, whether you were a Midway sailor or a Roosevelt sailor or a Coral Sea sailor. This is your home. Welcome.
Wayne, the same question, a takeaway or two.
I'll reiterate what Oscar said. This was a team effort on all three of our parts. It took a lot of work. We spent our time and our money to help put this together. We met out here one time about a year ago, February last year, to kick this thing off. Mac and the rest of the crew of the Midway, they helped out. They had meetings with us. We set up different deal. And all through the 18 months that put this together, the three of us, ideas, new ideas, things we wanted to do, things we didn't want to do. And it took the three of us to put it all together. Other people within our organization would bring up suggestions. We would discuss them. We'd either mix them or we put it in. And all the guys involved in this, and you are involved in this.
I are snowbirds, and we came out here last in 18 to take a cruise to Hawaii for our 50th wedding anniversary. And when we got back, bless her heart, she let me spend a week with these two guys talking about things, but Oscar had a van rented so that we could visit different hotels, different venues, different places that we wanted to go see. So my hat's off to MBA for all the work they did. They asked me at the time how many that I thought we would get from FDR. And I said, 85% of our members live on the East Coast. I said, we might get 25, 30, maybe 35 tops. We got 82 people from Roosevelt. So bravo Zulu to the guys from FDR who are here, and every ship, all the ships that are here. And I think we all share, you guys in Midway, you don't know how much we envy you being able to come aboard your ship. On the other hand, we thank you for loaning us your ship to feel at home, because when I go below decks here, you go on a flight deck and it's totally different. Our flight deck was much different than it is on here, much more like Coral Seas was. But it's like coming home. And thanks be to God that this ship exists and will continue to exist.
Marty, you got a question? Loudly. Statement.
This is not just the Midway ship. This is the class of carrier. All of these gentlemen, all of you belong here. Welcome aboard, welcome home. We wish to share this with each and every one of you. The Midway class is a historic class of ships. They changed the Navy tremendously. Thank you.
Let me just add one thing. When we came out here in 2004, again, my wife was tremendously patient with me, and she puts up with my desires and wantings. I told her, I says, I want to be aboard Midway when they let us aboard, and they're going to kick us off when they close it. And we did that. We were staying at the Brow at I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and we came aboard, and we trooped through every part of this ship. I had the good fortune that somebody told me ahead of time, go up to the island structure first. And I used to repair some equipment, Tri-Fly. And the docent was very knowledgeable, but he had not worked in private life. So we had about 15 minutes. I was telling him what different things were up there. This is a testimony to the class, and we just love coming here. We've been vacation 3 times out here in San Diego, and every time we spend time aboard the ship. So.
Well, I think that's perhaps a good note to begin wrapping this up. I was thinking, as you guys were talking in terms of this being your class ship, Mac McLaughlin was just delighted the first time he heard the concept of the class, coming here. He has been asking for updates regularly for the last 18 months because it really means so much to him and the leadership. And a couple of other, real quick fact, that's cutting out, isn't it? Starting to sound strange. A reminder, we've got the membership table. I didn't mention earlier, we have 24,000 members from every single state and 24 countries, honoring and are interested in learning and continuing to support your legacy. 800 active volunteers. Last year they donated 285,000 hours in 1 year. That's 140 full-time employees. It's just remarkable how San Diego and members from around the world, literally, have come together. They've begun, as they've learned about you and your legacy, they've embraced it and are doing what they can to support it. Now, not as the Midway Museum, which of course is what we are, but representing the Midway class. How many of you know that we were not originally planning to get to Midway in 1992? A couple of you have from some of the events we've had here aboard. The original vision, USS Ranger. In 1992, right after Midway had been decommissioned and a group of community leaders got together, the early indications were that the Ranger was going to be the next ship made available by the Navy. Different things happened, and it was going to be a pier we were going to build from scratch out in front, almost in front, you at the Wyndham? Across from the Wyndham, the county administration building. There was going to be a pier out there where Midway was going to be. A lot of things changed, obviously, over the years, and here we are. 27 years or something from that day, and 15 years since we opened. And it's just, I think, perfect that we're now a Midway class museum in so many different ways, as these gentlemen, your leaders, have explained. So I think we'll wrap it up at this point. Again, membership table, library, the tour sign up is over here at the information center, just here in Hangar Bay 1. And I'd be glad to answer any other questions you may have. And along with what everyone else has said today, welcome aboard. Thank you all. Any other questions?